Today I'm explaining the 2015 movie Hidden. After watching and listening to this explanation, you won't need to watch the movie itself. And if you like my explanation, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. So let's get started without any further ado. The story begins by showing us a family happily living their lives, but they were unaware that in just a few minutes, something terrifying would happen to them. As the husband and wife were engrossed in their conversation, they suddenly heard screams and shouts coming from outside. When they stepped out of the house, they saw a commotion among the people outside. People were fleeing their homes as if something big was about to happen. Jason and Beth noticed that their neighbors were also anxiously and quickly evacuating their house. Jason asked a neighbor what the reason was and why they were leaving, but they were in too much of a hurry to answer. Meanwhile, they saw the neighbor's son packing his belongings. When Jason asked the boy where they were going, the child replied that a friend of his father's, a government officer, had warned them that a very toxic virus was spreading that turns a normal person into a monster. Just then, the boy's mother arrived, grabbed him, and started to leave. Jason asked her what virus the boy was talking about. The mother said there was no time to explain and urged him, "Take your wife and daughter and get as far away from this city as possible." Hearing this, Jason and Beth became very panicked. Without thinking, Jason put his family in the car and started driving them out of the city. The roadblock and the bombing. However, on the way, they saw the neighbors who had fled were now returning, which struck them as very strange. Further ahead, they got stuck in traffic. When Jason and his family got out of the car, they saw that the only road leading out of the city had been closed by the police. Helicopters began patrolling the skies everywhere. People were told that a toxic virus had spread in the city and they should quickly return home. This instruction struck Jason as odd. Why were they being told to stay in the city instead of being evacuated if a virus had spread? Suddenly, a large rock fell from the nearby hill onto their car. This terrified them. The hill began to shake. Then, two military fighter jets emerged from behind the hill and headed toward the city. The two fighter jets began raining bombs on the entire city, turning the whole city to ash. Jason's wife, Beth, immediately understood that if they had listened to the police and returned home, their fate would have been terrible. Escape to the tunnel. The fighter jets then began moving towards the people on the road. Seeing this, panic erupted among everyone. Now everyone understood that the government wanted to kill them. Everyone started running here and there to save their lives. Jason and Beth realized that no matter where they ran, the fighter jets would kill them. Then, Beth turned back and saw a school on the hill and thought that place would be better for their survival. Jason, Beth, and Zoe then began climbing the hill toward the school. Behind them, the fighter jets were dropping bombs on the people on the bridge. The three of them quickly ran and reached the school. Fortunately, they found a tunnel there. Just seconds before a bomb exploded, they quickly slipped into the tunnel. As the bunker door closed, there was a huge explosion above, but thankfully, they were safe beneath the bunker. Life underground. What puzzled them was why the government had to kill all the people in the city. They couldn't understand anything. They only knew that if they wanted to survive, they had to silently live in the bunker. The problem for them was how long they would live there and what they would do for food and drink. The good thing was that there was a lot of expired food stored there, which could last for a long time for the three of them. Jason's wife, Beth, was very worried. She worried about her daughter Zoe and what they would do if she got sick. Beth had also hurt her hand quite badly while closing the door, and both of them were afraid that the poisonous virus might have attacked their bodies as well. But this wasn't the time to worry. They had to secure the bunker so no one could open the door from above. Jason securely closed the bunker door with an iron chain and decided that they had to hide and live there. But life underground was not easy. Every day, it was the same food, muddy water to drink, and they played cards in their free time. Their connection to the outside world was completely cut off. After staying there for many days, they became very distressed in the bunker. But what could they do? If they went up, they wouldn't survive. This life made Jason's family feel like they were experiencing the end of the world. Zoe asked her father, "Dad, how long will we stay here?" Jason had no answer to this. He just told his daughter, "We will go out only when the virus is gone." He would put his fingers over his daughter's eyes and make her imagine the outside world. Days and then months passed. They didn't know that more than 300 days had passed in the bunker while waiting to go outside. Zoe looked at the outside world through the periscope her mother had made. Outside, there was only a scene of destruction, as if the whole world had been burned to ashes. There was no sign of any human being. Seeing all this, the little girl began to feel that they might be the last remaining people in this world. Her mother comforted her, saying, "Don't think like that. Maybe your friends are hiding somewhere like us." Now it was night, and it was time for dinner. They had little food left, so the three of them made do with a small amount. But today, at Zoe's insistence, she was given a whole can. When Zoe opened the tin can, she found that it was empty inside. There was a small hole on the back of the can. Perhaps something had stolen the food from it. Beth checked all the remaining cans and found that a total of 12 cans were empty. Seeing this, they were very worried because this was their 2 weeks' worth of rations. Beth looked toward the ventilation grill and guessed that maybe a rat had come inside and taken the food. Beth said that if it was a rat, they would have to kill it soon, or it would ruin all their food. Seeing his daughter's sad face, Jason comforted her. "Don't worry about small things. Even if the food runs out, I'll go up and get some supplies." The rat and the fire. The next day, as Zoe was playing with blocks with her mother, a slight sound came from behind. When Zoe turned around, a rat had come in again to steal food. Before the rat could escape, Zoe immediately called her parents. Today, they had to kill this rat at all costs. Jason angrily pulled out a knife and lunged forward to chop it into pieces. But the small rat was very fast. It escaped Jason's attack and ran away, also knocking over the lantern kept on the table. Just as it was about to enter its hole, Beth suddenly lunged and killed the rat. They were all celebrating the rat's demise when, on the other side, a fire slowly started due to the fallen lantern. Jason ran to put out the lantern, but it was very hot, burning Jason's hand, and the glass of the lantern shattered, setting the whole table on fire. Beth tore a curtain to try and put out the fire. Jason quickly pulled half a bucket of water from the tap and threw it on the fire. Somehow, the two of them managed to put out the fire. But the danger was not over. In fact, their difficulties were now going to increase. Although they had extinguished the fire, the smoke from the fire had filled the entire bunker, and the smoke was slowly rising toward the outside through the ventilation grill. The smoke gives them away. Seeing this, they all panicked because the smoke was revealing their hiding spot. Now everyone sat holding their breath. Jason said that perhaps the darkness of the night would hide the smoke, and no one would know about their location. The three of them stayed awake all night in fear. The next morning, for their own reassurance, they peeked outside through the periscope, and the ground slid from under their feet. They saw that a massive cloud of smoke was billowing outside. Seeing this, their anxiety increased. They were sure that the secret of their hiding place had been revealed. Then Beth said that if smoke had risen, ash would have also accumulated nearby, and investigating it could lead to their location. Therefore, they had to clean up the ash. After this, the husband and wife decided to go outside and clean. Before leaving, Jason made his daughter Zoe promise him that no matter what noises she heard or what happened outside, she must not come out. After taking the promise from his daughter, they opened the chain on the door. They listened carefully to the sounds outside, and when they were sure no one was there, the two of them opened the bunker door and went outside. Zoe's brave act. Their daughter was now alone inside. She was waiting for her parents, but after waiting for a long time and her parents not returning, she climbed onto a stool and started looking at the outside situation through the binoculars. She soon saw her parents trying to hide the bunker door. But then, Zoe saw something that made her breath catch in her throat. She saw a black shadow rapidly approaching them from the distant forest. The girl screamed loudly, telling her father to look behind him, but the distance was too great, and her parents couldn't hear her. In a state of panic, the girl forgot her fear and climbed the ladder and came out of the bunker. As soon as she came out, she realized that her parents were no longer there. The girl nervously began calling out loudly for her parents. Suddenly, someone clamped a hand over her mouth from behind. It was none other than her mother. A few seconds later, a herd of wild deer rushed past. Although the three of them narrowly escaped, Beth's fear grew even more. The way these deer were running suggested they were trying to escape from something dangerous. Everyone sensed the danger and quickly ran back toward the bunker and entered it. Jason closed the bunker door with wooden slats and tightly secured it with the iron chain, telling everyone to be absolutely silent. The creature finds them. Then they heard the slow sound of footsteps above. It sounded as if someone was coming toward the bunker door. It continuously roamed around on top of the bunker for several minutes. The three of them slowly moved away from the bunker door and further inside, and perhaps whatever was above hadn't yet realized that someone was in the bunker below. Frightened, Zoe began to cry. Beth silenced her, saying that if the sound reached outside, everything would be over. The three of them had slowly moved quite far from the bunker door. They were moving away from the door so that even if someone opened the bunker door from above, they would not be visible below. But then, the string of the doll Zoe was holding got caught in a screw. The screw slowly began to loosen. Seeing this, Jason's and Beth's hearts pounded because the string was connected to the doll's voice switch. Before they could do anything, the screw popped out with a jerk. And at that moment, sounds rapidly started coming from the doll. Jason immediately tore open the doll and broke the speaker inside. But it was too late now. The thing that was chasing them above had gotten a whiff of them. Suddenly, there was a loud bang from above, and then the echo of heavy footsteps stopped directly over the bunker door. It had finally found their hiding place and started trying to open it. It was forcefully pushing the bunker lid, and despite being locked with chains, the danger was clearly felt. The monster above knew that someone must be present below. Although the door was secured by strong chains, the terrifying force of the creature caused the chains to break, one by one. Seeing this, Jason knew the door wouldn't last much longer. He quickly ran inside and started pulling out the water pump's pipe. Here, Beth also showed courage and climbed the ladder, using her body weight to pull the chain and try to keep the door closed. But still, the iron lid slowly began to open. Just then, a black shadow appeared over the doorway, its eyes glowing like a bulb, as if their death was looking down at them. Jason, without thinking, attacked it with the pipe, causing it to fall back. Jason quickly jammed the pipe into the door to close it, and the thing ran away from there. But Jason's body was still trembling badly. He could never have imagined that the outside world not only had ruthless soldiers, but also dangerous monsters roaming around. The entire family sat dejected near the stairs, because now their hiding place had been exposed. They could be attacked at any moment, and they also realized that only one had come this time. But the next time they came, their number would be quite large, and they wouldn't be able to do anything against them. A little while later, the closet suddenly started to shake. Jason and Beth understood that it had called its companions. Loud footsteps could be heard from above, as if thousands of creatures were running over their heads. Then, they all gathered at the bunker door. Below, Jason, Beth, and Zoe were trembling with fear. Suddenly, they launched a massive attack. This time, the force was much greater than before. The strong iron door broke and fell to the ground, and a pile of glowing eyes shone in the bunker doorway, making the people below run backward in terror. But the monsters kept following them. Beth threw her oil lamp, setting fire to a curtain between them and the creatures. She and Jason grabbed a closet and blocked the passage between them. They all quickly ran deeper inside the bunker, but they knew this couldn't stop them for long. They had no way left to escape. Then, the girl saw a ventilation opening that led to the ground. Jason forcefully broke it and, with all his might, pushed his wife and daughter outside. But when he tried to get out himself, he got stuck due to the narrow space. On the other side, the monsters were advancing towards him. Jason had to get out of there somehow. He saw no other way, so he broke his own collarbone, screaming in pain. But he quickly composed himself and slipped into the ventilation shaft. Beth, without wasting a moment, pulled Jason out with all her strength. Just as Jason was about to get out, a huge creature came and grabbed his leg. Jason realized that his escape was impossible now. There was no hope of getting away. Jason looked into his wife's eyes and said, "No matter what happens, don't let anything happen to Zoe." And the next moment, the monster dragged him back into the bunker. But instead of being afraid of the monsters in the bunker, Jason challenged them, saying, "Come on, let me see what you've got." When Beth and Zoe looked down, loud screams were coming from the bunker. Beth understood that her husband was fighting to buy them time to escape. Despite her pain, she took her daughter and fled from there. Running away from the monsters, they traveled quite far. But while running, they noticed something strange. They saw that the highway that led to the outside world now had a tall wall built there, meaning no one could leave this city now. The revelation. Just then, a helicopter flew in from a distance. When Beth turned back, she saw it was an army helicopter. The helicopter quickly approached them and shined its bright spotlight on them. Just as the two were about to run away, a large net fell on them from above, trapping them both. They tried every possible way to free themselves from the net, but the net had badly entangled them. Through the netting, Beth saw some black shadows with green eyes approaching them. This is where the real secret of the story was revealed. These yellow-eyed people holding guns, whom they thought were monsters, were actually military soldiers wearing gas masks and night vision goggles. The eyes with the yellow glow that made them look like something from another world were just the glow of their gear. But the question is, why were the army personnel enemies of these people? This whole secret will be revealed in the remaining part of the story. Now, Beth and Zoe were both under the control of these soldiers. One of the soldiers took out a large syringe and injected both of them in the neck, one by one. When their blood was tested, it was found that both of them were also infected with the poisonous virus, which meant that they were a threat to this earth. And now, they would be killed. The truth about the virus. In reality, when the virus first spread, many people in this small town had been affected by it. This virus spread through the air, and it quickly spread from one person to another. The infected people didn't even know they were sick, And the government had no antidote to stop this virus. The government had no choice but to kill the infected people. When Beth saw that these soldiers were not going to spare her little daughter either, she became completely enraged. Black marks began to appear on her face. But before she could do anything, a fountain of blood erupted from a soldier's neck. It was none other than Jason, who had returned from the brink of death. Jason hadn't died in the bunker. Instead, he had lost control of himself there and killed all the monsters. At that time, he was very angry. Black marks were on his face, his eyes were red with rage, and his physical strength had increased many times. It was clear that he was no longer the same Jason. He appeared in a different form. He lunged at the soldiers and began killing them, but he couldn't stop the bullets from the hot weapons and fell to the ground. When the soldiers turned toward Beth and Zoe, both of them had broken the net and escaped. The new hiding place. The soldiers started looking for them everywhere, but they had no idea that Beth had also transformed into a monstrous form. She hid Zoe inside a car and started fighting the soldiers herself. She killed several soldiers and then fell onto the car roof after being shot. Her daughter, hidden in the darkness, saw all this. Seeing the condition of her parents, she also became enraged and lost control of herself. In one leap, she knocked down a soldier, broke his mask, and was about to kill him when Beth stopped her in time. She didn't want her daughter to become a fiend, too. Beth calmed her down. Slowly, the green veins on the girl's body disappeared, and she turned back into a human. But the soldier was not so lucky. His safety mask was broken, and he slowly became infected with the virus. On the other side, Jason's condition was very serious. Looking at his daughter's face, he gently touched his 2 fingers across her eyes, and Jason closed his eyes forever. Just then, another helicopter arrived. Beth grabbed her daughter and ran. Passing through a pile of junk, they entered a tunnel. Suddenly, a light shone in their eyes. Upon looking, they saw that it was the same neighbor's young boy they had seen at the beginning of the story. The 2 then followed him. The boy led them to a cave-like tunnel where his parents and many other people were hiding. In reality, there were people who were infected with the virus, just like them. To survive, they were all forced to live a rat-like existence in the dark. This virus was certainly dangerous, but not fatal. This virus would only exert more force on the infected person's body when they were scared or couldn't control their anger. But in reality, those people had learned to control themselves. They thought of the city's soldiers as monsters, but in reality, they themselves were the monsters. This is where the story ends. I hope you enjoyed this movie explained. Don't forget to subscribe to Truth Nest Originals and hit the bell icon for more amazing videos. Thanks for watching!